Okay, so today we are going to talk about chelators and how to split them. I know a lot of you have been asking how to dose them for when you're on round. So today I'm going to show you how to do a combo round. So we're going to be using alpha lipoic acid 50 milligrams and DMSA 25 milligrams. Alpha lipoic acid is a chelator that crosses the blood-brain barrier. This will chelate mercury out of the brain as well as out of the body. And then we are also using DMSA, which does not cross the blood-brain barrier, but it will chelate mercury and lead. So if you test high for lead on your hair metal test, this is the one you'd want to start with. Do a few rounds of this to get your body burden reduced before adding in the alpha lipoic acid, which is going to pull mercury from the brain. So we are going to start by separating out our DMSA. So for the 25 milligram caps, we are doing, we're going to add 2 together to make 50 milligrams and split it into 11 to get to 4.54 milligrams for each dose. So I'm going to start by taking just a little plastic measuring cup and emptying 2 capsules to get to that 25 or 50 milligrams. And I'm going to be using the micro measuring spoon that's labeled drop, which I believe is either 1/64th or 1/32nd of a teaspoon. So I'm just going to eyeball it. You don't have to be exact. You don't have to get a scale. You can be up to 20% off or have a variance of 20% per dose. So it doesn't need to be exact. Eyeballing it is fine. So I'm just going to start by doing just a good size scoop and doing one of those into each. So I have 22 little Post-its out here. I'm only going to do 11 at a time because if I add 4 capsules and dose out for the full thing at once, it's too hard for me to eyeball for 22. So 11 is a lot easier for me. So I'm going to do it this way. It takes a little bit longer, but that's okay. So we're just getting equal scoops on each one. And then I still have some left over, as you can see. So we're going to go back through and evenly divide this again. Super easy. And what I'm using to put these on is just little Post-its that I've cut off the adhesive side and cut into strips, just folded them in half. I like to use this method because I can pat the powder down to the crease and then use the crease to get the powder into capsules. So it makes it really simple. You don't need to use a funnel or a capsule machine. Really easy. So then we just have just a tiny bit of powder left, so I just like to eyeball and see which ones are smaller, and those are the ones that I'll add the rest to. So I'm actually only going to do 11 for time's sake, just to give you the idea of what it is that we're doing. So far this is what we have. Just a small little pile of what should be approximately 4.54 milligrams of DMSA. So you can see it's right there on the Post-it. And now that they all look fairly even, I'm just going to kind of pat them to that crease so then I can add the ALA and we will basically be doing the same thing. So for the ALA, we're going to be using 50 milligram caps. We're going to be dividing those into, what is it? We're going to add 2 together to equal 100 milligrams, and we're going to divide it by 11. So we're doing 9.09 milligrams of ALA. I know some of you are probably wondering how I got to that dose, because it's kind of an odd number. Basically, since I wanted around 9 milligrams for ALA, and that came out to 11 capsules, I tried to make the same amount of capsules for DMSA. So 4.54 was a good amount for what we're wanting to do right now, and so that will give me 11 doses for each. So it doesn't have to be like 8.5, 10. You can do it. It can fluctuate. You can have an odd number just to make it more convenient for splitting purposes. There's no right or wrong way to do it, as long as you are following the protocol closely. So now what I've done is I've poured the DMSA to the corners, as you can see. So now we have that space where we can add the ALA. So we are going to 2 caps, 100 milligrams divided by 11 is going to come out to 9.09. So that's what I'm going to do. And the ALA capsules that we're using are Kirkman brand. You can buy these on Kirkman's website. You can buy them on iHerb or Amazon. Sometimes the 50 milligram is hard to find. It seems to be sold out quite frequently. I think I was able to get these off of the actual Kirkman website. We were using 25 milligrams for a long time, but I found that the 25 milligram and the 50 milligram capsules are the same size, so the 25 milligram contains more filler. So this way we're using less product and getting more of just the actual active ingredient that we're wanting. Sometimes the powder gets stuck in the tips of the capsule, so you have to, I just kind of like to flick it out. Okay. It is recommended that you wear gloves while doing this, because you can absorb it through the skin. So if you're doing this for your child, you would want to wear gloves, especially if you are breastfeeding or pregnant. Because I am also chelating with my children, I am just going to go ahead and not use gloves, because I'm going to chelate anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So we're just going to go back and do the same thing. Just start with like just almost a full-size scoop. Just do one of those on each. You can find the correct dosage to start based on your weight in the Fight Autism and Win 2nd edition book that you can order off Amazon or the Fight Autism and Win website. It's also in the Amalgam Illness book by Andrew Hall Cutler, or on the Andrew Cutler support group on Facebook. So normally the starting dose would be about 1/8 of your 1/8 milligram, or 1/8 of your weight would be how many milligrams. So for a 40-pound child, for example, the recommended starting dose would be 5 milligrams. You can start a little bit less if you don't feel comfortable doing that, or you just want to see how they'll respond. And you want to stay at that dosing for 3 to 5 rounds. If you're not seeing any symptoms after a couple rounds, you can go ahead and increase. If you are still noticing a lot of side effects, if they're having a ton of yeast flare up, or that your child gets really cranky or irritable, it's uncomfortable for them, you can reduce the dose the following round, or stay at that dose until you see that you no longer have the symptoms, and then that would be an indicator that it's time to increase because your body has become used to dosing at that amount. So scooped everything out. I just have a very little bit left. So again, I'm just going to kind of eyeball and see which one of these need just a little bit more. I usually like to prepare for the round the day that we're going to start, and I'll do the whole round's dosing in one sitting, so that equates to 25 doses. It does take a little bit of time, so I would plan for that. And I wouldn't dose for more than one round in advance, and the reason is because once you open the capsules, it does allow for the powders to oxidize now that they're being exposed to air. What you can do is you can add a tiny bit of vitamin C powder to the capsules. That way it keeps it from oxidizing. It'll stay fresher a little bit longer, but I would say 3 days in the capsule after making these is fine. I wouldn't do more than one round at a time. So don't make like a month's worth of doses in one sitting. Plus you can't really anticipate what dose you're going to want to do, if you're going to want to stay at this dose, reduce it, or increase it. So it's better to just kind of play it by ear each week and just go from there. So how the Post-its look now, we have DMSA is back in the crease, and we have ALA is right there in the front. So we have those two little piles, and so now they all look good to me. So I'm just going to scoot the powder into the crease and do that to each one of them to make it easy to pour into our capsules. Powder is there in the center, in the crease of our Post-it. I'm taking these, I want to say these are size 1 or 0 capsules. You can get these at any local health store, vitamin store, or Amazon. I ordered ours off of purebulk.com, and you can use the discount code WECARE, spelled W-E-C-A-R-E, all lowercase, one word, to receive 15% off all your orders, which I previously mentioned in the other video. Besides the actual supplement powders, they sell a ton of accessories too. So you can use that 15% off to get a scale or a capsule machine if you choose to, get your micro measuring spoons, all of those things that you're gonna need to be able to separate your doses, you can get right off there and save a little bit of money. So purebulk.com, WeCare for the discount code. So I'm gonna then use the corner of the Post-it to get the powder into our capsule. It's gonna look like this. And then we cap it. And that's it, that's one dose. So basically how I'm going to give this to my child, he'll be 4 soon. So he can't swallow pills. So what we're gonna do is basically we take little Dixie cups, we put a tiny bit of juice in there, dump the powder in, and use a 10 milliliter syringe. You can get a box of 100 of them off of Amazon for like less than $20. And we use one syringe each week, and then we toss it, so it will last us quite a long time. If you are chelating multiple people in your family, so for example, if one child is doing ALA and one child is doing combo round of DMSA and ALA, you would want to make sure that you are not using the same containers to put the powders in unless you clean it in between, and you're not using the same syringes. You don't want to mix chelators. Even a trace amount is going to chelate those metals. So if you're not chelating for lead or you're not using DMSA, don't mix the two. So then I'll just go through and I'm going to empty all of them into the capsules. We're chelating 3 people in our household, so I like to just label, let's see here, little snack size bag, put them in there so I don't confuse any of them. They also do sell colored capsules off Purevolt, which I just recently discovered, so I'm going to be ordering those because it'll make it a lot less confusing if somehow some of the pills spill out of the bag or get mixed up somehow. I can just look at the color and know who that pill is for. So for the future, I plan to get those. Other than that, that's all you have to do to split your chelators. So hopefully that was helpful and easy. If you guys have any questions, please leave me a comment. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And if you have a video that you'd like me to make to go more in depth over something, I'm definitely open and willing to do that for you. So please just leave me a comment and let me know what you want to see.